You've probably heard the joke. Elon Musk wants to die on Mars, just not on impact. And, it's funny, but it gets at a really core truth about him. The guy is driven by a truly planetary scale ambition. So the question is, how does a self-described lonesome, gawky boy from South Africa become the man trying to literally rewrite humanity's future? Well, let's get into it. To really get a handle on just how big his vision is, you just have to look at these two posters. They actually hang in the SpaceX headquarters. On the left, you've got Mars as it is right now, a cold, empty, red rock. And on the right, well, that's Musk's Mars, a terraformed planet, green, with oceans, a second home for all of us. This isn't just some cool office art, it's the whole mission statement right there on the wall. And in his own words, that's his purpose, to make sure humanity has that bright future. But what makes someone think like this? I mean, what kind of mind looks at an entire planet and sees a fixer-upper? To understand that, we've got to go all the way back to his childhood in South Africa. Musk's childhood in Pretoria was, you could say, defined by two incredibly powerful and totally opposing forces. You had this legacy of just boundless adventure on one side, and on the other, a home life that he has called pure misery. Okay, so get this. His grandfather on his mom's side, Joshua Haldeman, was basically a real-life adventurer. This guy flew a tiny single-engine plane on these epic journeys, like all the way across continents, using road maps to navigate. He'd even drag his family on these wild expeditions to find a mythical lost city, and they'd wake up with lions just a few feet from their camp. He was an absolute daredevil who passed down this spirit of taking huge risks and just exploring. But, and this is a huge but, that incredible spirit of adventure was completely overshadowed by what Musk calls the psychological torture of living with his father after his parents got divorced. He said his father had a knack for taking any good situation and just making it awful. So this wasn't a world of adventure anymore. It was something he absolutely had to escape. And that's really the key here. Musk's childhood wasn't just about dreaming of his grandfather's adventures. It was about pure survival. He was this bookish outsider in a really tough, hyper-masculine culture. And that sense of isolation, it just fueled this incredibly intense desire to get out, to get to America, and to build a world that was way better than the one he was stuck in. So he finally makes it to North America, and he dives headfirst into the dot-com boom of the 90s. This was his big shot, right? His chance to start building that better world. But as you can imagine, Silicon Valley had its own set of trials waiting for him. It's a real gauntlet. He started his first company, Zip2, an online city guide. And he literally slept on the office floor because he didn't have the money for an apartment. He ends up selling it for millions, and what does he do? He immediately risks every penny on his next idea, an online bank called X.com. That company eventually merges to become PayPal, only for his own board to fire him while he was on his honeymoon. Talk about a brutal lesson in betrayal. Now, even after that coup, Musk was still PayPal's biggest shareholder. So when eBay came along and bought the company, he walked away with a cool $180 million. For most of us, that's it, right? Game over. You won. But for Musk, that was just the seed money. That was just the beginning. And he was about to bet every single cent of it. Okay, so fast forward to 2008. That grand vision, all those big dreams, they were on the verge of a spectacular, fiery collapse. Both of his new, incredibly audacious companies, the ones he'd bet his entire fortune on, were just hemorrhaging cash and staring right into the abyss. Just try to imagine the pressure he was under. With SpaceX, that had 3 rocket launches fail in a row. The next one was their last shot. If it failed, the company was done. Meanwhile, Tesla was burning through cash like crazy, hit with all sorts of production nightmares and just weeks away from bankruptcy. And as if that wasn't enough, he was going through a very public, very messy divorce. I mean, literally everything was falling apart at the exact same time. So what did he do? He went all in. He pushed every single chip to the center of the table. He took that entire $180 million fortune from the PayPal sale and poured it all into SpaceX and Tesla just to keep the lights on. He was borrowing money from friends just to pay his own living expenses. He was, by any normal standard, completely and totally broke. And this quote, which he told to an early investor, it says everything you need to know. My mentality is that of a samurai. I would rather commit seppuku than fail. You see, this wasn't just business for him. It was a mission. And failure, well, that just wasn't an option he was even willing to consider. And then In what has to be one of the most dramatic turnarounds in business history, everything changed. SpaceX's fourth launch was a perfect success. That success convinced NASA to award them a life-saving $1.6 billion contract. And then, on Christmas Eve of 2008, a last-ditch funding round for Tesla closed, saving it from bankruptcy with literally hours to spare. He had stared into the void, and he won. It's really only after surviving that crucible of 2008 that the true genius of Musk's plan started to become clear to everyone. See, these weren't just a bunch of separate, high-risk companies. They were all pieces of a single, interlocking, grand mission for humanity.
You can call it the unified field theory of Elon Musk. It's this master plan that connects every single one of his ventures into one cohesive strategy. This isn't just about building cool cars or rockets. No, it's a whole philosophy for solving humanity's biggest existential threats, starting with our reliance on fossil fuels. It's a roadmap to not just save our planet, but maybe, just maybe, to leave it.
Okay, so here's how it all fits together, step by step. Step 1, Solar City, which he helped his cousins start, generates clean energy from the sun. Step 2, Tesla Energy stores that clean power in giant batteries. Step 3, Tesla Motors uses that stored energy to power sustainable transportation right here on Earth. And the final, ultimate step? SpaceX, using all that energy and technology to make humanity a multiplanetary species. It's all one giant, vertically integrated system. But the man himself, at the center of this grand plan, is a total study in contrasts. On the one hand, he seems to have this deep, profound empathy for the human species as a whole. But on the other, he can be famously, and sometimes brutally, difficult with the actual individual people working right next to him. He inspires this insane loyalty to the mission, while at the same time, his own co-founders will tell you he is incredibly tough to work for. So the book really leaves us wrestling with this huge question. Is he a visionary industrialist, somebody on the level of a Steve Jobs who is fundamentally reshaping our world for the better? Or is he a man so consumed by this epic humanity-saving quest that the individual humans around him just become secondary? You know, maybe the real answer is that to achieve one, you have to be the other.